Welcome back to Scotomaville. I was laughing this morning. I was thinking of that classic Robin Williams.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Yeah. We really miss him, don't we? He's a great comedian. Hey, I have a bunch of stuff to cover. We're going to start on this section. Let me put it right here. We're going to start on psychological scotomas. And oh man, I got a bunch in here, right? I got all kinds of stories to tell you, and there's no way that you're going to be able to absorb it all. It's like me shoving you into a pool. That's good. That is a banana ginger almond butter. Yeah, that's good. Let's review for just a second. The purpose of the book is to help you become more self-aware, self-understanding, self-disciplined, so that you can, quote, leave, right, Scotomaville. This first section on awareness, I have to bring a bunch of tools to your toolbox, to your tool belt, into your active memory, but I don't want to flood you with too much too quick. So I'm breaking this into a series of videos, clips like this, transcribing it, putting it in a book, starting from my notes here. But you might remember from one of the previous lessons, friend Bill Sharman says, life is what happens between your plans. This morning, we're having one of my typical meal replacement shakes because there's been a run, nice way to put it, there's been people hoarding. There's been people panicking. There's been straight up evidence in the aisles from Manhattan, where my daughter is, to all the way across the country to Phoenix and Anthem, Walmarts and Safeways and Albertsons and Fry's and everywhere. People are like, wah. You might remember from yesterday's lesson that we can grab your attention in a bunch of different ways. We can have you recall from your childhood things that you're not even aware about but got triggered on. Our brain finds patterns. It matches things up. Oh yeah, that's like this. Oh, that snake, it bit me. Oh, that rock, it tripped me. Oh, that branch, it grabbed me. Oh, that person, they betrayed me. Oh, you see, our brain likes to grab and associate. So when you walk into a grocery store, one of the really great opportunities of developing a skill set of thinking that enables you to leave Scotomaville is that ability to recognize the difference between scarcity and abundant thinking. You see, we have an incredible supply chain. We also have people that panic. And the stuff isn't there that you went to get. I remember this when I was a kid. Or we turn it around and we tell you lots of stories. Look at the long lines waiting for people are reselling hand sanitizer in the Walmart parking lot that they just cleaned the shelves out on the and we can trigger all those emotions and we can help steer you. This is all current events, but I can fit it into where we're going. So I need to tell you a story first. I was raised in a period of scarcity around food. I used to watch The Galloping Gourmet and figure out all kinds of ways of using the little ingredients that we had in the early 60s to make meals for my stepbrother and stepsister, and I was the oldest, so I was assigned the duty of childcare, and my parents both worked. Often my stepdad worked the graveyard as a law enforcement officer, and meals, you know those box meals where serves 4 and there's 5 in our family, and typically it would be dad would come home with a patrol car. He'd get the first serving, mom would get second. My stepbrother would be third, my stepsister, and I would be the 5th in a line of 4 servings. My experiences gave me a belief system that there wasn't quite enough to go around. And it wasn't until in my mid-30s that I read a book, I believe it was called The Erroneous Zones by Wayne Dyer. I still recall sitting on the bank of a lake, much like this, up in Washington, and having Wayne point out that the difference between scarcity and abundance is a mindset. It's not based on fact. And people can manipulate it. They manipulate how you feel. Therefore, what you believe, you take action on, and it reinforces it. It's sort of an evil loop that goes around and round. Let's take a quick look at some curves and supply and demand. Let's say that it's typical for us to buy something like eggs. How often do you buy eggs? Maybe, I don't know, 1 carton a week, so 12 per week. Right? Let's say that that's the supply chain, delivering 12 eggs, 1 carton per week to one store. They sell 100 over a week, and now somebody thinks that they need 4 weeks in the first week, so they're going to buy 4 cartons of eggs, right? Not the 1 carton. And that means that in a grocery store, the 100 cartons are going to be gone to 25 people. So essentially what that does, drives a big demand, where then all the other people that come to get their 1 group of eggs are gone. And that happens with things like masks and sanitizers and paper towels and toilet paper, that people think, oh my gosh, I need a whole bunch of this supply on reserve now. And then you go in thinking that, hey, I'm just going to go pick up my eggs, and there aren't any in the shelf. So now you have the same emotional response from your childhood. Scarcity, oh my gosh. One of the things I've noted in previous lessons is that when you try to teach on something, and you're trying to be, no, not trying, you are being authentic, and you're attempting to communicate and experience some way, life delivers a living example of that. You get to go through it in order to demonstrate it. So people are hoarding toilet paper, soaps, all the disinfectants, all the tissues, all the napkins, all that stuff. And so they've put a limit on certain things. Like you can only have 1 of anything. Only 1 carton of eggs, only 1 gallon of water, only 1 bag of anything. And they're attempting to enforce it but they're only kind of approaching the nice looking people. And all those gnarly, scruffly ones buying a dozen of the small Dawn soap containers. Oh, no. We're not going to confront them. But, sir, give me that second gallon of water back. Wait, we drink a gallon a day. This is my third trip. But you're only allowed one. And all of the emotions of scarcity in childhood come flooding back. It's amazing how easy it is to trigger that stuff. And it's amazing how long it takes to get out of Scotomaville. It's a long road. And I can at least laugh because I'm aware of it, but it is amazing to me how embedded the response from your amygdalas and your hippocampus and all the things that trigger your fight or flight adrenaline stuff. What? You're rationing water? But there's 2 of us in a household and it's 30 miles to the store. Yeah, that's the rule. And much of what we're going to go into in helping you get out of Scotomaville has to do with retrieving early beliefs, foundational things. You remember the Beverly Hillbillies truck, right? All laden with all kinds of things that they thought they needed. We're going to start unpacking that little by little over the next weeks and months and years. We're going to have you reconsider, remind, if you will, back in here. Where did that thought, where did that belief, where did that behavior first start? Because once you become aware of it as an adult, you have the opportunity to use brain plasticity, the idea that you can remold your beliefs and actually rewire your brain. We're going to use that. We're going to put that to work. So I grew up in a household of scarcity, but I became aware that it was a choice. I've taken a bit of time, diffuse time, right? Nice little ride today, to think about the origins of my belief system on abundance. And I'm going to credit 2 people for significant input, and I'm also going to disagree with one of them a bit. Peter Diamandis, fully agree we're living in the most prosperous time of all humankind. Yuval Harari, I agree with that we're killing ourselves as individuals and as a species more by choice through abundance than in any time throughout history. In fact, there's evidence that sugar is more dangerous than gunpowder, right? More people die from diabetes than from war or terrorism combined. So we're choosing things that are not the best, but they're in abundance around us. So I agree with Yuval. I agree with Peter and all of his stats that we're in the best time in history. And with Wayne, he first brought the idea to me that I was living with a scarcity mindset. But I disagree that we attract abundance. It's not something we can, like a magnet, bring to us, in my opinion. I believe that there's a pathway. I think it starts with, oh, that was an emotional trigger. And then asking yourself, where in the world did that come? We're going to deal with the idea of peeling back an onion. I'll give you some tools for that. But where did the trigger come from? Where did that emotional rise come from? Did it come from the media? Did it come from a picture? First level, yeah, well, that might have triggered it, but that's not the root. That's not the root belief. Peel it back. Where did that belief come from? Go for a walk. Go for many walks. Take the trash out. Do something on your own to get the time to think through where the root of that emotion came from. Was it an experience? Many experiences, like the dinner table around my family that I grew up in, my family of origin? Or
Is it something that you can identify that was passed on by the military or by a natural event, a flood, a hurricane, something like that? If you can find where you think is the very first series of dominoes, the things that got you believing in that, you then as an adult have an opportunity to rethink it given adult facts and figures. I think you can actually move yourself toward abundance by becoming a person that can manage that abundance better and share it better. And it starts with awareness. And I think that's what I intended to include in this morning's conversation.
How do you make hummus from chickpeas? Yeah, you just get in there. And this way, it doesn't get on your hands. It doesn't get on the counter. A little bit of caramelized onions and garlic. A little diced celery. 4 scrambled eggs. You can use olive oil or mayo. I like a little sesame oil. I'm going to add a little bit of chutney. I usually do just curry powder, but this case we're going to put a little of that in. And often I'll just put it back in the bag and finish it off. Finish it off with a little bit of cilantro and a side thing of like celery or cucumber, a little grape for contrast, some pasta bread or tortilla or croissant if you like, and there you go, a $2 Airstream on the fly lunch.